Let's take a quick look at how some of the different tools can be combined for restoring an old photo. This by no means is a comprehensive tutorial, but rather will just give you some insight as to how the different tools can be used together. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this layer, and I'll start to make a selection here. Let's start with the Magic Wand tool, and you see it did a pretty good job of selecting that white. What I want to do now is expand that selection just a little bit by choosing Select, Modify, Expand. I just want to eat into the edge there, and then I'll press Shift-Delete to bring up the Fill dialog and use Content-Aware Fill. You see it did a pretty good job of analyzing the surrounding pixels and filling that in based on the texture. I need to zoom in here down by this foot and just be a little more accurate. S for Clone Stamp tool, and adjust the size of my brush with the bracket keys. What I'm looking to do is just fill in some of this damage. All right, that's working nicely. And I think I got it. Next, I want to look for major damage. So I'm going to start with some of these splotches here. And I will use the patch tool or the spot healing brush. It really just depends. I think in this case, the spot healing brush will do the trick. So I'll paint over that damaged stroke or the hard wrinkle. And you see it analyzes the surrounding pixels and makes a new texture. This is great for some of these small blemishes and some of these lines as well. Now you have to be careful since the spot healing brush doesn't let you set a source point. This is where you sometimes want to use the normal healing brush. Click in a good area so you can define the texture for use. And this allows you to remove any of those wrinkles quite nicely. All right, that's looking pretty good. Got the major blemishes in the background removed. Good. Let's take a look at the jacket next. You'll notice some blemishes on the front of the coat. A couple of ways of doing this. Sometimes the spot healing brush is going to be the right tool, and you can just click. With a really tiny little brush, I can paint over the damage. Now, if that doesn't do the trick, I have a little one up my sleeve I like to use, and that is the smudge tool. The smudge tool can be used to push pixels around, and so using it in darken mode can be a useful way to essentially finger paint the shadows and move through the image. And you see how you can just push the pixels as if they were wet paint into the crack or the blemish, much like this was digital concealer. You want to be careful not to streak the image too much, but this really does work nicely as a cleanup. All right, that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that change. And I'm just moving through the image here using a combination of tools. Use the normal healing brush, option click, and paint. And we'll take out some of that damage. There we go. Good. Nice blends. All right, Command 0 to zoom out. We have a little crack in here. We can finish that out with the same sort of tools. What I want to do is take a close look at the face, however. If you zoom in too far, you might start to see the pixel grid. Now, that's usually useful when sampling color, but you can always turn it off. There we go. Let's use the healing brush with a small brush left bracket, and I'll option click on the clean skin there and paint over the damage. Oftentimes using the forehead as a source point is a good idea because it's such a large swatch of skin. The cheeks can work pretty well as well. And that worked nicely. I'll just touch up the hair. There we go. And I've removed most of the major blemishes. Good. Now I can continue to work my way through this image, touching up the rest, but I just want to show you a few more things. I'll typically at this point remove the saturation and then add a curves adjustment layer and fix the contrast. With the On Image tool, I can really go after the areas selectively and start to pull those down until I get proper contrast. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I'll then turn on a hue saturation adjustment layer, click the colorize box, and can dial in the hue that I want. All right, there you have it. An image that's most of the way there, and a little more TLC would finish it out.